Friends, today you and I are here to do more than just talk. We are here to create legacy. When you speak, you have two options. You either deliver value or you fill space. And I'm telling you, the world doesn't need more space fillers. It needs voices that cut deep, voices that move mountains. So I want you to lock in, lean in, because I'm about to share with you the 3-2-1 speaking trick, the exact structure that forces you to stop rambling and start resonating. Imagine this: you walk onto any platform, Zoom, stage, camera, and you speak with precision, power, and purpose. That's what we're going for. Let's dive in. Before you open your mouth, before a single word leaves your tongue, there's something far more powerful that must rise within you: clarity and purpose. Because without them, your words are just noise in the wind. You can speak beautifully, you can sound intelligent, you can even impress people for a moment. But if there's no purpose driving your message, it all fades into the background like static. Clarity is not about fancy words. It's about precision. It's about knowing exactly what you want to say and why it matters. Purpose is the fire beneath that clarity. It's the reason people lean in, the reason your words hit different. When you combine both, your message stops being information and becomes transformation. Most people speak just to fill silence. They want to sound confident or they want to be heard. But the great communicators, the ones who shift rooms, they speak because they have something that must be said. They're not performing, they're delivering. There's a difference. When you have clarity and purpose before words, your energy changes. You don't chase validation, you deliver value. Think about it. How many times have you spoken without thinking, only to realize you said too much or said it wrong? That's what happens when clarity is missing. You talk to talk, not to impact. But when you know what outcome you want before you even begin, your words align with that intention. You speak with precision and every sentence serves a mission. Clarity starts with vision. You've got to ask yourself, what's the outcome I want here? What do I want the listener to feel, believe, or do by the time I'm done speaking? When you know that, you build your message like an architect designs a structure. Every word becomes a brick with purpose. You don't speak from memory, you speak from meaning. Purpose is what gives your clarity direction. It's the why behind the what. It's the fuel that keeps you grounded when nerves hit, when distractions come, when your mind wants to wander. Purpose is what steadies your voice when you're speaking in front of a crowd or through a lens. It's what keeps your message anchored in truth. Because when you know why you're saying something, you no longer need to prove yourself, you simply deliver from conviction. When you speak with purpose, you're not trying to impress people, you're trying to impact them. You're not chasing applause, you're chasing alignment. You stop caring about being perfect and start caring about being real. That's the difference between someone who speaks for attention and someone who speaks for legacy. Clarity and purpose give you authority without arrogance. You become grounded, calm, deliberate. You pause because you mean it. You look your audience in the eyes because you want to connect, not perform. You strip away filler words and empty phrases because they dilute your impact. You realize silence can speak louder than a stream of unfocused words. Before every conversation, every meeting, every video, every stage, take a moment. Don't rush to speak. Ask yourself 3 things. What is my message? Why does it matter? Who am I serving through these words? That simple pause is where power is born, because most people speak reactively. But when you speak intentionally, you create space for mastery. You're not just saying something, you're shaping something. Clarity demands honesty. You can't be clear with others if you're confused with yourself. You've got to get real about your motives. Are you speaking to prove, to please, or to serve? Because the moment your purpose becomes external applause, validation, recognition, you lose power. But when your purpose comes from within to teach, to lift, to inspire, your words carry weight. And here's the truth. People can feel it. Audiences can sense when you're speaking from ego and when you're speaking from essence. They might not be able to explain it, but they know it. Energy doesn't lie. When you're clear and purposeful, they trust you, they lean in, they remember. The greatest communicators in history, from leaders to teachers to storytellers, all mastered this one thing. They didn't waste words. They didn't wander. They knew exactly what they stood for, and every time they spoke, that conviction poured through their voice. That's not talent, that's clarity, that's purpose. So if you want to stop rambling, stop trying to sound right. Start trying to be right with your message, right with your intent, right with your direction. Before you craft your sentences, craft your reason. Because when your reason is strong, your words will find their own rhythm. Every time you speak, you are building a bridge between your heart and someone else's. Don't build it with weak material, build it with precision and purpose. Make every word count, let every pause breathe power. Speak less but mean more, because clarity isn't just a communication skill, it's a life principle. When you get clear about what you want to say, you start getting clear about who you are. And that's when your voice becomes unstoppable. So before you speak again, slow down, center yourself. Remember, your words have weight. Don't throw them around, shape them, sharpen them. Then deliver them with the conviction of someone who knows exactly why they showed up. That's where true communication begins, not in the sound of your voice, but in the silence before it. That's where clarity meets purpose. That's where legacy begins. There's a simple truth about powerful communication. It's not about how much you say, it's about how much they remember. The reason most people lose their audience isn't because they lack passion, it's because they lack structure. Passion without structure becomes noise, but when you have a framework, when your words have rhythm and order, you don't just talk, you lead minds. That's where the 3-2-1 framework comes in. It's not a trick. It's discipline disguised as simplicity. 3, 2, 1. That's all it takes to make your message unforgettable. 3 main ideas, 2 examples for each. 1 unforgettable takeaway. It's communication stripped down to its most powerful form. It forces clarity. It commands focus. It eliminates the ramble that drains impact from even the best ideas. When you step up to speak, your audience doesn't want everything you know, they want the best of what you know. 3 ideas is enough. 3 gives you balance, rhythm, and clarity. It gives your message a natural arc, beginning, middle, and end. The moment you try to cram in 7 points or 12 lessons, your audience starts losing grip. They remember nothing, but when you give them 3 powerful ideas, you give them something to hold on to. Those 3 ideas are the pillars of your message. They should stand tall and distinct, yet connected under one vision. Think of them as the backbone of your story, each one supporting the other, each one pushing the listener deeper into understanding your point. Every great communicator knows this instinctively. Whether they're teaching, motivating, or selling, they frame everything around 3s. It's how the human mind remembers. It's how people process and retain meaning. Then comes the 2. For every idea you speak, give 2 examples, 1 personal, 1 practical. Why? Because one grounds your message in authenticity and the other gives it application. When you share a personal story, your audience feels you. When you give a real-world example, they see themselves in it. Emotion plus evidence, that's how trust is built. That's how people believe not just what you say, but who you are. The beauty of 2 examples per idea is that it creates rhythm. It anchors each point with proof. You're not floating in theory, you're landing every thought on solid ground. One story reaches the heart, the other hits the logic. You make them feel, and then you make them think. That combination moves people. Now the single sharp takeaway, this is your strike. It's the line they'll remember tomorrow, the phrase they'll repeat to someone else, the thought that sticks like a hook in the mind. Every talk, every conversation, every pitch must end with that one. Without it, you spoke beautifully but left nothing behind. The one is your legacy point. It's the conclusion that wraps your message with finality and force. When you follow the 3-2-1 framework, you stop drowning your audience in content. You start guiding them through an experience. You take them by the hand and lead them through clarity, emotion, and action. You build a journey. You design impact. And here's the secret: when you know where your message is going, your confidence rises. You're not speaking in circles. You're speaking with control. Every word has direction. Every pause has meaning. Every story has a reason. You're no longer guessing. You're executing, and the audience feels that difference. They sense your control. They sense your intention. They can trust someone who knows where they're going. When you speak without structure, you're like a pilot flying blind. You might stay in the air for a while, but you'll never land the plane. The 3-2-1 framework gives you a runway. It gives you a destination. It tells your audience, follow me, I know where this is going. And that's the kind of presence that commands attention. But here's the deeper layer: the framework doesn't just organize your words, it disciplines your thinking. It forces you to decide what truly matters. It makes you cut the fat, remove the filler, and deliver only what builds value. And that discipline will not only sharpen your message, it will sharpen you. You'll start thinking more clearly, living more intentionally, and communicating with conviction. Before you speak, map it out. Ask yourself, what are my 3 core truths? What stories or proofs can I give for each? And if they only remember one thing, what should it be? That's the preparation of a leader, not a talker. The 3-2-1 framework isn't just for stages or microphones, it's for every room you walk into. You can use it in meetings, interviews, conversations, anywhere words hold weight. Because when you train yourself to speak this way, you start showing up with focus in every moment. You stop rambling not because you're trying to sound good, but because you've built clarity into your DNA. People will start to notice the difference. They'll say you sound confident. They'll say your words have impact, but what they're really feeling is order, purpose, precision. You're not just speaking, you're directing energy. And that's what separates noise from power. So the next time you speak, remember this: 3 ideas, 2 examples for each, 1 takeaway that lives on. Speak with that structure, and you'll never lose your audience again. You won't just be remembered, you'll be respected. Because true mastery isn't about saying more, it's about saying what matters with such clarity and conviction that your words echo long after you're done. That's the art of 3-2-1. That's how you speak less but mean more. That's how you build a voice that outlives the moment. Powerful communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about rhythm, flow, timing. It's about mastering the tempo and the space between your words. Most people rush their sentences, trying to fill every gap with sound. They believe talking fast equals confidence. But the truth, confidence doesn't live in speed, it lives in control. The way you handle tempo and silence determines whether your message lands with impact or disappears in the noise. When you control your tempo, you control attention. Every pause becomes a spotlight, every breath becomes a statement. The greatest communicators understand that space isn't emptiness, it's energy. It's the space that lets your words breathe, the silence that allows people to absorb what you've just said. You don't win your audience by speaking non-stop. You win them by making every word count. Most speakers fear silence because they mistake it for weakness. They think if they stop talking, they'll lose the room. But the truth is the opposite. Silence draws people in. It creates tension, focus, gravity. It gives your message a pulse. The moment you start owning your pauses, your presence transforms. You're no longer chasing attention, you're commanding it. Tempo is your rhythm. It's the beat of your delivery, and like music, it has highs, lows, accelerations, and rests. Speak too fast, and your message loses weight. Speak too slow, and you lose momentum. The magic happens when you find that balance, when your pace matches your passion and your pauses match your power. Think about it: when a leader speaks with measured control, people lean in. When they pause before a powerful statement, it creates anticipation. The silence before the impact makes the message hit harder. It's the same reason great music uses rests. Without those gaps, the notes blur into noise. The silence gives meaning to the sound. So when you speak, don't be afraid of the pause. Use it, let it serve you. After every key point, pause for just a moment. Let the words land, let your audience digest. Let the silence speak the truth that words can't carry, because it's not your speed that moves people, it's your presence. And presence lives in stillness. When you slow down your words, you speed up your influence. You start controlling the emotional rhythm of your audience. You can feel when they're with you, when they're drifting, when they're waiting. And you adjust. You stretch your tone, change your volume, alter your rhythm. That's mastery, not memorizing lines, but orchestrating energy. If your words are the music, your pauses are the beats between them. Too many people rush through their message because they're afraid of judgment. They want to get it over with, but when you own the stage, when you believe that what you're saying deserves attention, you stop racing. You begin to breathe your message instead of spitting it out. Controlling tempo isn't about sounding robotic, it's about sounding real. It's about matching the rhythm of your words to the emotion behind them. When you share something powerful, slow down, let emotion anchor your pace. When you want to inspire energy, lift your tempo, elevate your tone. Great speakers don't just talk, they perform a symphony of emotion. They make the audience feel the speed, the pause, the rise, and the fall. And then there's space, the invisible art that separates amateurs from masters. Space isn't just the pause between sentences. It's the mental and emotional room you create for your audience to connect. It's how you use your body, your movement, your presence to fill the room without words. It's how you breathe, how you look at your listeners. How you stand still when it matters. That space communicates certainty. It tells the audience you're not rushing to prove something, you're grounded in what you know. When you speak, your body also needs space. Don't pace back and forth in anxiety. Don't wave your hands without meaning. Every gesture should be intentional. Move with rhythm. Stand with purpose. Let your stillness speak louder than movement. because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to stop, look, and simply be there. Tempo and space together create control. Control is what separates nervous energy from magnetic confidence. The moment you learn to own the silence, to command the rhythm, to move with purpose, your entire presence shifts. You stop performing, you start leading. Before you step into any conversation, center yourself, breathe deeply, feel your heartbeat, let your thoughts settle. When your inner world is calm, your outer words carry strength. You speak slower, clearer, deeper. You don't rush to fill silence, you let silence amplify your authority, because great communication isn't a race, it's an experience. It's not about saying everything, it's about saying the right thing, the right way, at the right pace. When you master that, people don't just listen, they remember. So take control of the tempo, respect the space, let silence serve your message, not threaten it. Speak like every word is a tool, every pause a weapon, every breath a reminder that you're in control of the moment. When you speak with that kind of rhythm, steady, intentional, unhurried, you stop sounding like everyone else. You sound like someone who knows their message has meaning. You sound like someone who doesn't need to chase attention because they've already earned it. That's when your words stop being sound and start becoming substance. That's when your pauses echo louder than other people's sentences. That's when you stop talking to be heard and start speaking to be felt. Control the tempo, own the space, let your silence speak power, because when you master that balance, you don't just communicate, you command. Most people step up to speak and make one fatal mistake. They think the goal is to deliver a perfect speech. They treat communication like a one-way street, as if the audience is just there to receive. But true connection isn't built through performance, it's built through participation. Real influence happens when your message becomes a dialogue, not a monologue. When you stop talking at people and start speaking with them, everything changes. You see, communication without connection is just noise. You can have the best words, the strongest voice, the sharpest message, but if the audience doesn't feel like they're part of it, you've lost them. The moment you make your talk a shared experience, you shift from being a speaker to being a leader. Because leaders don't talk to people, they engage them. They make them feel seen, heard, and understood. Every audience, no matter how big or small, craves one thing: to belong. They don't just want to hear your story, they want to see themselves in it. That's the secret most people miss. When you speak, your job isn't to sound impressive, it's to create mirrors for people. Your words should reflect their fears, their hopes, their dreams, their struggles. The best communicators make the audience feel like the message was written for them. That's why dialogue matters. It's not always verbal, it's energetic. You ask questions, even rhetorical ones, that invite thought. Have you ever felt that? Can you relate to this? What would you have done in that moment? You're not just saying words, you're opening doors. You're giving your listeners permission to step into your story and make it their own. And when they do, your message sticks not because it was powerful, but because it became personal. A monologue feeds the ego. A dialogue feeds the soul. When you make your speech a dialogue, you stop performing and start connecting. You stop trying to prove something and start building something. The difference is energy. One pushes, the other pulls. A monologue pushes your message onto people. A dialogue pulls them into it, and people always remember how they felt when you pulled them in. You can tell when a speaker is talking at an audience. Their tone is mechanical. Their eyes float over the crowd instead of into it. They sound rehearsed instead of real. They deliver lines, not moments. But when someone speaks in dialogue, there's life in their delivery. They read the room. They respond to energy. They adjust their tone, their pace, their emotion based on what they feel. They're present, they're human, and that's what makes people listen. Speaking in dialogue doesn't mean you lose authority, it means you gain trust. People trust those who see them, not those who preach to them. You can be strong, confident, and commanding while still being engaging and inclusive. In fact, the more you make your audience part of the message, the more they respect you. Because it shows humility, it shows that you're not above them, you're with them. When you speak, look at your audience as partners in the process. They're not spectators, they're participants. Every nod, every silence, every smile, it's a response. Pay attention to it, let it guide your rhythm. Communication is energy exchange. You send it out, they send it back. If you're only focused on what you're saying, you'll miss what they're giving you. And that feedback, that connection is what keeps your words alive. When you're in dialogue, you ask for emotion, not permission. You don't need to ask, are you with me? They already are because they feel it. You create moments that make them think, reflect, and see life differently. You make them active listeners. You lead them through questions, through pauses, through energy. That's how your words become experiences. The best communicators make the audience the hero. They don't say, "Look what I did." They say, "Look what you can do." They shift focus from their success to the listener's potential. They make the audience feel like the message isn't finished until they live it. That's dialogue, that's legacy, and remember, this connection isn't built through perfection. It's built through presence. You can stumble on a word, lose a line, forget a sentence, and still move people if your heart is in the message. Because people don't connect with flawless, they connect with real. So speak like you're having a conversation, not like you're reading a script. Let your tone rise and fall naturally, react to their energy. Smile when they do, pause when they think, feel when they feel. That's communication at its highest form. Before you speak, shift your mindset. You're not stepping into a performance, you're stepping into a partnership. The stage isn't your spotlight, it's your bridge. The mic isn't your weapon, it's your invitation. You're not there to impress, you're there to connect. When you start treating communication as a dialogue, people start leaning in. They trust your authenticity. They remember your words because they were part of them. And when the audience becomes part of your story, your message becomes part of theirs. That's the art of connection, making people feel like you didn't just talk to them, you talked for them. That's when your voice turns into a mirror. That's when your message stops being sound and becomes transformation. That's when speaking becomes legacy. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you have a choice. You can leave words that fade the moment they're heard, or you can leave a legacy that echoes long after you've gone silent. The difference isn't in vocabulary, style, or charisma, it's in intention. Anyone can talk. Few can transform, and the ones who do, they understand that speaking isn't about being remembered. It's about making others remember themselves differently. Legacy isn't built by how loud you are, it's built by how deeply you reach. It's not about the applause that fills the room, it's about the silence that follows when people sit in reflection because something inside them just shifted. You don't measure your message by views, likes, or recognition. You measure it by the hearts that carry it forward. That's legacy. That's what turns simple words into timeless impact. Most people chase moments. They want the speech that goes viral, the line that trends, the applause that feels like validation. But legacy builders play a different game. They don't speak to impress, they speak to imprint. Their goal isn't to be the loudest voice in the room, but the one that stays in the listener's mind long after the noise fades. They understand that words are temporary, but the emotion they create, the belief they ignite, the truth they awaken, that lasts forever. When you speak with legacy in mind, you stop performing and start serving. You stop asking, "How can I sound great?" and start asking, "How can I leave people greater than I found them?" That's the shift, because your words are not the product, transformation is. Legacy lives in what people do after they've heard you. It's not what they think about you, it's what they think about themselves because of you. You see, the real measure of a communicator isn't how clearly they express their thoughts, it's how deeply they awaken someone else's. That's what speaking with purpose does. It lights a fire in people's hearts that keeps burning even when you're no longer there. You become the spark, not the spotlight. The impact lives beyond the moment. To leave a legacy through your words, you have to speak from a place of conviction, not convenience. You have to mean every word you say, not because it sounds good, but because it's true. People can feel truth. They can sense authenticity. They can tell when your message is born from your own battles, your own lessons, your own scars. When you speak from experience, you give your audience permission to rise from theirs. Your voice is a tool not to elevate your ego, but to build others. When you use it with integrity, it becomes more than sound, it becomes service. Every sentence becomes a seed, every pause a moment for growth, every word a reminder that change is possible. That's how legacies are built, not through grand speeches, but through words that plant something real inside the listener. You have to decide what you want your words to stand for. Do you want them to entertain, or do you want them to endure? Because entertainment feeds the moment, but meaning feeds generations. The person who leaves a legacy understands this. Words die when they serve self, but they live forever when they serve others. Every time you speak, you're building something, a foundation, a reputation, a memory. People might forget your exact words, but they'll never forget how your words made them feel. They'll never forget the moment you helped them believe again, or the clarity you brought when they were lost, or the courage you sparked when they were scared. That's what legacy feels like, invisible yet eternal. Legacy doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence, from showing up consistently, from being real when it's easier to be polished, from speaking truth when silence feels safer. You don't need the perfect sentence to change a life. You just need a heart anchored in authenticity. When you speak from your truth, your words don't just reach ears, they reach souls. The greatest legacy you can leave isn't in the speeches you deliver, but in the lives you touch. Every time you communicate, you have an opportunity to build bridges, not walls, to inspire courage, not fear, to plant hope, not doubt. That's what gives your message life beyond the moment, because legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you leave within. So before you speak, ask yourself, what do I want people to carry when I'm gone? Do I want them to remember my voice, or remember their own power because of it? If your answer is the latter, you're already speaking from legacy. You're not chasing attention, you're transferring belief. You're not trying to sound powerful, you're helping others feel powerful. And that's where true influence begins, not when people quote you, but when they live differently because of you. When your words become part of their decisions, their courage, their purpose, that's legacy. That's how you outlive the moment. So speak like your words are not just air, but architecture. Speak like you're building something eternal every time you open your mouth. Don't aim for noise, aim for resonance. Don't aim to be remembered, aim to make remembering unnecessary, because your message already became a part of who they are. Words fade, voices fade, but impact doesn't. Legacy doesn't. When you speak with heart, truth, and purpose, your words stop being yours, they become everyone's, and that's how you turn sound into significance. That's how you turn moments into movements. That's how you leave not just words, but a legacy that never dies. So here's what I'm asking of you. The next time you step into the spotlight on camera, at a meeting, in a conversation, remember the 3-2-1 trick. Structure your talk around 3 powerful ideas. Support each with 2 vivid examples. End with 1 unforgettable takeaway. Speak less. Impact more. Leave your mark. Because rambling doesn't build legacy. Precision does. Intention does. Purpose does. Thank you for showing up. Now go speak like your legacy depends on it, because it does. I'll see you at the top.